Today's review is for the 11th book that I read of Stephen King's on my own little sojourn of his collected works. This book was The Dead Zone. Surprisingly, I enjoyed this book a lot. It's a great book, so that don't surprise me. What does is the fact, even when I was down and depressed, the story still pulled me in and actually made me feel better because it captured my attention enough that I was no longer focusing on all the things that were troubling me at the time when I was reading it. So it was actually very good in that sense. All right. So, all right. Here is the synopsis. Beware the wheel of fortune. The dead zone. Johnny, the small boy who skated at breakneck speed into an accident that for one horrifying moment plunged him into the dead zone. Johnny Smith, the small town school teacher who spun the wheel of fortune and won a trip into the dead zone. John Smith, who awakened from a seemingly interminable coma with an accursed power, the power to see the future, and the terrible fate awaiting mankind in the dead zone. Dun dun dun. Just joking. But yeah, anyways, powerful tension holds the reader to the story like a pin to a magnet. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is. I don't want to give away spoiler details, which is why I try to keep my reviews vague and not spoil too much about the story for anybody who would be interested. But just to say where I would rank it among certain categories and what I actually thought about the book. Did I enjoy it? Was it a good book? Those are things that I feel are important for me to share with this review. So, as usual, we have our four main categories, which add up for the overall rating, and then we conclude with final thoughts. So, for horror factor, our first category, I gave it an 8 out of 10. With this story, the horror is scariest when it's focused on things that are rooted strongly in reality. For story quality, I gave it 10 out of 10 because it's superbly written and a classic masterpiece among any novels, not just Stephen King's. For suspense intensity, I gave it a 9 out of 10 because it's a non stop thrill ride that leaves you guessing right to the very end. For memorable characters, I gave it 10 out of 10 because this book features some of his best character work ever. The heroes and villains are larger than life, life of the party, and whether you love or you hate them, you will never forget them. So, all these categories 8 out of 10 for horror factor, 10 out of 10 for story quality, 9 out of 10 for suspense intensity, and 10 out of 10 for memorable characters add up to a total overall rating of 37 out of 40. The reason I ranked it this high is probably one book that I could recommend to anyone, no matter what their taste in books is. Whether they like horror, whether they like mystery, whether they want a good romance story, suspense, it's got everything. And it's not overly scary that for the people who don't like horror, it would be a turnoff. So even if horror isn't really your cup of tea, this is a book I could recommend to you because it's not the most scary. It's got some scary parts that are actually scary when you think about the reality of them. But overall, it's just such a great story that it doesn't need to rely on scaring the reader or horrifying the audience to get the point across to make it great. So, final thoughts. If you had to pick the book, which most people would like, even if horror isn't their cup of tea, this is it. Because it might not only be one of his best books, but perhaps one of his best books to make the horror very digestible for a reader who isn't into horror. So, in that sense, the book effectively delivers. And hold on. So, yeah, if you haven't read it, definitely go check out The Dead Zone. It's really good. I do apologize for the delay in reviews. There has just been a lot going on lately with my life working on the third book I'm writing, Carmelita. I also typing out my second book of short stories, working on trying to find publishers. And on top of that, I'm maintaining my entire household for a week on top of trying to also mix and get some more music done. So, yeah, it feels like I'm juggling an entire circus in my hands right now, and it's not easy, but I'm doing my best. So, I do apologize for the delays. And if you are watching this, for anybody who's been wondering when the next live albums discussions is going to come out, where we will talk about Hood Tales from the Shadow Realm, that is actually going to come out um on Friday. Friday we're going to release that. We're going to go live and you can ask questions. I will share my thoughts as the usual protocol with that program of my YouTube channel. We will do it by the books and hopefully you will all be excited to attend and hear behind the scenes stories of what it was like to make that album. And that album, of course, was the most difficult album to make because TuneCore didn't even let me release it. And I had to kind of just bootleg it and put it on the internet just to even get it out there so that I didn't waste the work, which was a very depressing and distressful experience for me as an artist, as you can imagine. But, anyways, I am nearly done reading the 32nd book of Stephen King's, just in case anybody was curious, and that one is Christine. After Christine, I'm debating on reading either Hearts in Atlantis or Under the Dome. Probably Hearts in Atlantis because it's shorter. I want to get the shorter ones finished first because the longer ones will take longer, so I'd rather get through the shorter ones knowing I can get through them sooner and then save the last one so that I can really just focus all my energy doing those. And yeah, that's pretty much our review for the day. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, Super Kami Guru Alucard. Please like, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and definitely check out the music. Remember, every stream you view on here makes me money, and I appreciate it because it helps to fund future projects. And being an independent, struggling artist, we really need the extra funding, people. So appreciate all the streams, appreciate all the sales, and definitely stay tuned for more great content to come in the very near future from yours truly. Anyways, till then, Super Kami Guru Alucard, peace out. Domo arigatou gozaimasu, minasan. Oyasumi nasai. Matane.